Hello Legacy Sabers, Marsh here. So today we're going to look at Pythagorean Theorem and special right triangles. What you're going to want to have on you, something, a writing utensil of some form, a calculator, and then one square piece of paper. You know that little thing we made in class today? You're going to want to have on that. So, that toolbox you grabbed. What you're going to want to do, if you have not made it already, you should have in class, you're going to want to have it a square piece of paper, and you're going to want to fold down every side of that paper and write on the outside. So each flap, one should be named trigonometry, another one 45, 45, 90, special triangles, Pythagorean Theorem, and 30, 60, 90 triangles. What that's going to do for you, this is going to be your notes for these next two videos, okay? So, Pythagorean Theorem. You're going to want to open up that flap. At the top, you're going to want to write this slide. So, Pythagorean Theorem can help you find a missing side of a right triangle when you're given the other two sides. So, you got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You've seen the Pythagorean Theorem many times. Well, remember guys, the c side is the hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle. So, this would be my c. The a and the b are the two legs of the right triangle. Doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B, but C is always across the way, okay? Let's find the length of the hypotenuse using our Pythagorean Theorem. One of these problems can go on the bottom area. You could maybe even write both of them if you write kind of smaller. So this is going to go in the bottom underneath the flap. So the top of your flap should say the Pythagorean Theorem. The bottom one is going to be your examples. So, let's figure them out. Notice we have a C missing, because that's across from the right angle. So I'm going to have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or 4 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. So let's figure out what are we going to get. We're going to have 16 plus 64, right? That's 80. So 80 equals c squared. So what is c? So I got to square root both sides, right? Square root of 80, that's not a perfect square. So what can we take out of 80? What perfect square? So we could break it down, simplify the square root. 16 and 5, that'll work. So I know c is 4 square roots of 5. What if we have the hypotenuse, but not one of the legs? So notice this is my c value. This can be either my a or my b, and then this could be the other one. So we're going to go a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my a, let's call it c squared, or 6 squared, excuse me. X squared, because let's call this my b. And then I'm going to get 15 squared for c, right? I'm going to have 36 plus x squared equals 225. Just squared my things. Let's subtract 36 from both sides. I'm going to get x squared equals 189. So to solve for x, square root both sides. So I'm going to get x equals square root of 189. I think a 9 can come out. So I can break it down, and I think a 21, right? 9 times 21? Yeah, that gives me 189. So I'm going to get x equals 3 square roots of 21 for my final answer. Go ahead and open up the 45, 45, 90 triangle, and go ahead and write this stuff on the top here of the flap. So right below the when you open it, the top area that would have folded down, that's where you're going to want to write this. This is called the isosceles right triangle, because both your sides are the same length. So this leg has the same length as this leg, and your hypotenuse. Now, they're kind of related in a special way. You're going to want to memorize this formula on the top of your head, because we're going to use it a bunch. So you got a hypotenuse equals the leg times the square root of 2. I like to think of it in this way. If my leg is x, so both my legs are the value of x. My hypotenuse is whatever the leg is times the square root of 2. So I like to think of it as x, x, and x with the square root of 2 attached. Okay, so let's try a couple of examples of a 45, 45, 90s. So I have this, I have an 8 for one of my legs and an x for the hypotenuse. So if you remember, I had that the hypotenuse was the leg times the square root of 2, right? And I know my leg is 8. So my hypotenuse, x, is the leg, 8, times the square root of 2. So my x is 8 square roots of 2. Let's look at this one. So notice we got the hypotenuse, but we do not have the leg. Let's plug in our formula. So we're going to have hypotenuse equals my leg, x, times the square root of 2. So I need to solve for x. How are we going to get rid of this x and the square root of 2? We need to get the square root of 2 out of here, right? Well, divide by the square root of 2 on both sides. Let's do that. Can't have a fraction. I can't have a denominator for square root though. So remember, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. Do you remember doing that? It's been a little bit, but we can do it. So I'm going to get 10 square roots of 2 on top over square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2, right? Because it'd be square root of 4, which is 2. 10 over 2. Let's simplify that. So we're going to get 5 square roots of 2 for my x. Let's now open up our 30, 60, 90 triangle flap. We're going to have on the top here is my two formulas I'm going to want to memorize. My hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg, and you're always going to want to remember the short leg. The long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. So I always tell students the short leg, if you do not have it in the 30, 60, 90 triangle, you got to find it. So your short leg, remember, is across from the 30 because the smallest angle has the smallest side. Way to think of that. So then 60 is across from your long leg, and the hypotenuse is that one. Now, they're related kind of like our 45, 45, 90. You can think of it in this way. If your short leg is x, your hypotenuse is double the short, and the long leg is x with a square root of 3 attached. Because it's 30, 60, 90, and 3 goes into 30, 60, and 90. That's a way to keep the square root of 2 and the square root of 3 in your mind. Okay? Let's take a look at a couple of examples. So I have a 4, and I need to find x, and I need to find y. So notice 4 is across from 30. So this is my short leg. So this would be my 60. So this is going to be my long leg, and this is my hypotenuse. So remember, the hypotenuse is 2 times my short leg, and my long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3, right? So I already have short leg. We're good there. So I need to now find my two formulas. Well, this is 2 times short, right? My hypotenuse. So that's going to be 2 times 4. So my hypotenuse will be 8. And then my long leg is going to be my short leg, 4 times the square root of 3. So y is going to be 4 square roots of 3. And then my x is going to be 8. Let's go over this one. So I know I'm going to have 30 up here, because I got 60 here. So this is my short leg over here, long leg over here, and my hypotenuse over here. Ooh, notice I got my hypotenuse. I don't have my short leg. Let's get the short leg first. So my hypotenuse is related to my short leg by 2 times my short leg is my hypotenuse. So if I plug that into my formula, hypotenuse 6 is 2 times my short leg, which is x. So let's solve for x here. Divide by 2. So I'm going to get x is 3. So my short leg now is 3. So the long leg, remember, is whatever short leg is with a square root of 3 multiplied. So my long leg then, not x, that's y. Y is 3 square roots of 3. because all it is the short leg with a square root of 3 attached. And the final one. Let's find all the missing side lengths below. So I got a 30 here. So this is my short leg. This would be my long leg, and this is my hypotenuse. So we need to find our short leg, right? Because I already have my hypotenuse. So I know my short leg times 2 is my hypotenuse, right? So if we plug this in, I'm going to have 7 square root of 3 equals short leg times 2. So if I divide by 2, I know my short leg is 7 square root of 3 all over 2. So this is that side length. That's as simple as it can be. It's kind of gross looking, but nevertheless, that is as simple. Now, let's find our long leg. That is this times the square root of 3. So 7 square roots of 3 all over 2 times square root of 3 over 1. So on the bottom, I'm just going to get 2, right? And then I'm going to have 7 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Well, that's the square root of 9, right? Square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Square root of 9 is 3. So I'm going to have 7 times 3 on top, or 21 over 2 for my final answer of my long leg. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.